In the heart of a sprawling city, among the towering skyscrapers and bustling streets, lived a man named Samuel. Samuel was a figure of quiet resilience, a testament to the indomitable spirit of those who had little but carried on regardless. He resided in a dilapidated apartment on the outskirts, where the paint peeled from the walls and the pipes groaned. As if in sympathy with the residents' struggles, Samuel's days began before dawn. When the city was still wrapped in a blanket of darkness, he would leave his threadbare bed, careful not to wake the other occupants of the apartment, tenants crammed together by necessity more than choice. His first task was to make a small fire in the rusted stove, using scraps of wood and paper he had scavenged the previous day. This meager flame would heat a pot of water for tea, the only comfort he allowed himself in the morning. 4 years, Samuel had worked as a janitor in one of the city's many office buildings. His job was menial but essential, keeping the gleaming glass facades and polished marble floors pristine. His employer seldom acknowledged him, beyond the occasional nod or mumbled greeting. But Samuel took pride in his work. He believed that dignity lay not in the grandeur of one's occupation, but in the diligence with which it was performed. One particularly harsh winter, Samuel's fortunes seemed to take an even bleaker turn. The company he worked for decided to downsize, and Samuel, along with several others, found himself without a job. He trudged home that evening, the cold seeping into his bones, and sat in the dim light of his apartment, contemplating his next move. The city was unforgiving to those who fell behind, and Samuel knew he had to act swiftly to avoid being swallowed by its indifference. Despite his predicament, Samuel did not despair. He had always been resourceful, and he set about looking for work with a determination that belied his years. He knocked on doors, offered his services for odd jobs, and even bussed in the subway stations with an old guitar he had picked up for a few dollars. His fingers, though calloused from years of labor, strummed the strings with surprising deftness, and his voice, though cracked, carried a raw, heartfelt sincerity. One evening, as Samuel played his guitar in a bustling subway station, a woman approached him. She was well dressed, her presence commanding but not unkind. She listened to him play for a few moments before speaking. "You're very talented," she said, dropping a generous sum into his open guitar case. "Have you ever thought about performing professionally?" Samuel chuckled, a sound both warm and wistful. "I appreciate the compliment, ma'am, but I've never had the chance." The woman introduced herself as Clara, a manager at a small but popular cafe known for its live music. She offered Samuel a regular gig, performing a few nights a week. It wasn't much, she admitted, but it was steady work and an opportunity to share his music with a broader audience. Samuel accepted, and for the first time in a long while, he felt a glimmer of hope. The cafe became a sanctuary for him, a place where he could express himself and connect with others. The patrons, drawn to his authenticity and the soulfulness of his music, soon grew fond of him. They learned of his struggles and, in small ways, began to support him, some by offering tips, others by spreading word of his talent. As months turned into years, Samuel's life slowly transformed. The cafe gig led to more opportunities, and he even managed to record a modest album with the help of some local musicians. Though he never achieved great fame or fortune, he found stability and, more importantly, a sense of purpose. Samuel remained in his old apartment, despite his improved circumstances, out of loyalty to the community that had supported him during his darkest days. He continued to play at the cafe, his music now richer with the experiences of a life lived in the shadows, but always reaching for the light. In the end, Samuel's story was not one of rags to riches, but of resilience and quiet triumph. He proved that even in a world that often overlooks the poor and downtrodden, there is room for dignity, for connection, and for the beauty of a song well sung.